Good. Okay, we'll call this Committee of the Whole, February 27th, to order. I would like to acknowledge that we are holding this meeting on the unceded lands of the Mi'kmaq. Record of attendance. Do we have?
Motion to excuse.
Okay, seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, declarations of conflict of interest, and you can certainly declare at the time of the agenda item. Is there anyone that wants to declare yet, right now? Oh, good, okay. And approval of agenda. So under additions, we've got 11A, got 11B, letter to NSFM. I'll have to grab that off my desk. Letter to NSFM. Any other additions or deletions? Okay, motion to, okay. Councillor Hatfield and Councillor Lesser. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thanks, folks. Okay, we have one presentation today, Tourism and Light Pollution. We've got Tim Doucette and Neil McKenzie. Welcome. You know, I think you know the parameter. You have 10 minutes. And
10 minutes.
welcome. 10 minutes. Always 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Neil McKenzie. I'm with the Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association. We're the regional DMO for Yarmouth County, and our job is to drive visitation and promote the region using specific brand pillars, marketing pillars, you know, promoting all the good things we have in the area. One of the things that's really awesome that we have, and thanks very much to much of Tim and the other folks in the room's efforts, we have a Starlight designation. We have multiple Starlight designations. So we are here to talk to you about that today.
Tim Doucette here from, I own and operate the Deep Sky Eye Observatory, and I am currently the president of the Starlight Development Society. And I'm also the manager of the Starlight Designation certifications.
Thanks, Dib. So we're here to talk to you about light pollution and the opportunity that we all have to protect the night skies and increasingly, you know, grow tourism in the area. So I want to talk to you today a little bit about the importance of the dark skies. In 2014, the Starlight Foundation, supported by UNESCO, most folks will recognize that brand, the International Astronomical Union and the World Tourism Organization has worked to preserve night skies globally. Yarmouth and Acadian Shores is home to the first North American home, first in North America and the fourth in the world to achieve dual dark sky recognition. So that would be the Acadian Skies and Mi'kmaq Lands. And so the two recognitions and designations that we leverage, certainly from a marketing perspective, is the Starlight Reserve and the Starlight Tourist Destination. Astrotourism is a growing tourism experience worldwide, especially in destinations with quality stargazing conditions like Yarmouth and Acadian Shores. Astrotourism is an emerging niche within sustainable tourism, offering destinations worldwide the opportunity to attract visitors interested in astronomical experiences. By providing exceptional views of the dark skies and minimizing light pollution, destinations can enhance their tourism potential, contributing to sustainable goals and increasing tourism revenues. In 2018, Airbnb recognized Yarmouth and Acadian Shores as a trending astrotourism destination, leading to strong growth in travel.
So, the value of our dark skies. Astrotourism, it expands our knowledge of the universe and it attracts visitors to Yarmouth in general. Environmental protection, human health, it all has a big role to play. Energy efficiency, by reducing light and how we use light, we can become more efficient, save our energy costs. It also preserves our heritage. Just most recently, I have to say this, I had a lady who called me up and she says, or actually it was her husband called me up and said, I want to book a spot with you guys because my sister is going blind and The one thing that she's missing is to be able to see the night sky. She wants to be able to see the night sky one more time before she loses her eyesight. So we've had people from around the world who have we've touched in many, many different ways. And they remember and they visit Yarmouth on a yearly basis. What's light pollution? Well, essentially it's light that shines where we don't want it or don't need it. About 80% of the world's population right now has never ever seen the Milky Way. And literally 65% of all the visitors we have from around the world have never seen the Milky Way in their whole life. Millions and millions of dollars are wasted on energy that just is thrown out into space. In 2015, I've been imaging Yarmouth from Quinnan since I got my first DSLR camera, but in 2015, after our Starlight designation, I imaged, and I continuously do it every year, using same technology, cameras and everything, and lenses. And in 2015, I think it was 2016 or 2017, Yarmouth and all the areas were supposed to retrofit their lighting. And unfortunately, what was available at the time didn't conform to dark sky friendly policies. So you can see here, over a period of 10 years, what the light pollution, how it's increased from the view from Quinnan. It makes it kind of a difficult thing, and it's a very simple thing to fix. It's just we have to have the policies and stuff in place, and education, really to educate people on how to do it. So essentially, it goes like this. It's very simple. Put shields on your lights so you're not shining lights up in the sky. Pick the right color. You want to stay away from blue, white. You want to go with amber or yellow. And many of the towns and big cities are starting to revert back to amber lighting now because of the effects of light pollution on human health, messing with your sleep cycles, all that sort of thing. You want to pick the right brightness. There's no need to overdo it. People think that more light equals better security. Well, it's actually better light is better security. You want to pick the right timing, so you put them on a motion sensor. For security, people are always crying security. Well, we have the technology today where we can put a little camera that records at night and has a sensor on it, so if somebody comes by, even the light comes on for a little while. Be kind to your neighbors, whether it's your family, your friends, or anybody, whether it be humans or animals. It makes a big difference. Okay.
So some of the short-term objectives we have that we'd like to raise with you folks today, because we need your assistance, and we'd like to kind of tackle this challenge together, not just the town. This would be a regional approach. But some of our short-term objectives would be to initiate stakeholder dialogues, which is what we're doing now. We're bringing awareness to you and letting you know about the challenges we're facing and that it's not sustainable. We would like to see that all municipalities and partners engage with the Starlight Development Committee and YASTA and other partners to help manage light pollution. Let's figure out ways to do this. Tim has done a great job in this and others in raising awareness about the effects of light pollution. You might have already learned something today. We also want to establish best practices and policies and if bylaws if necessary to try to manage growth. We want to see economic growth. We want to see business growth. We want to see people build homes, all those things that are necessary that I know you're facing those challenges. We're not suggesting that halt in any way, but we are suggesting that we have these discussions and figure out how to support economic growth, support buildings, businesses, et cetera, but also figure out a way to reduce light pollution and get us on a sustainable path. So, and the other long-term piece is that from a tourism perspective, we really need to make sure we're holding on to these designations. Certainly the town of Yarmouth and all our other municipal partners that have funded YASTA has partially funded our marketing, which we've certainly leveraged the designations. We've been marketing AstroTourism and Dark Skies and leveraging those designations certainly since 2010. And there's been a lot of resources, time, effort, and money put into promoting the destination as an AstroTourism region and a place that worth visiting because of the AstroTourism experiences we have here. So we wouldn't want to throw away all that good momentum and work that has been done and resources that have been spent to hold on to leverage those designations. That's the presentation. We do have a full presentation that you can see in that link there, which gets a little bit more granular. Tim really breaks down a lot more of the scientific components of all of this. And we do have an advocacy, kind of a draft advocacy plan there where we could figure out a way to all work together to kind of try to mitigate this. So we're here to take questions.
Okay, questions, folks? Go ahead.
Yep. Do you guys have a package or anything like that that you could put into schools to as an aid for teachers or resources for teachers to communicate this information to students?
For students, yes, we do. We have our website. It's called Starlight, what's it called? StarlightSociety.com. And I can send that information to you. It's not so much just for students, but it is. We have different projects that students can do. We started a science project, community project last year, and we're going to start it again for this fall, where students are taught about light pollution, and they actually go out and go outside and have a little picture frame and count stars and put it on a map and all that kind of fun stuff.
Nice.
I usually do presentations in schools. We've gone through, last year we went through 5 schools, I believe, to sort of teach students about it.
Yeah, that's important.
But it kind of has to go beyond that. Like, we're trying to think of ways that we can educate electricians, for example, in the community college while they're doing their curriculum about light pollution and how it works, because I've talked to electricians that had no idea about what I was talking about. And after they learned, they're like, oh yeah, they really got them thinking about, okay, I'm going to install this light at this house. Maybe I'll use this other kind. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Good
Go
question.
ahead, Councillor Dayers, and then Councillor Lesser.
Yeah, just very quickly, I wonder if you have any specific recommendations for the town of Yarmouth or any problem areas that you see that could be corrected. I'm a firm believer in this, and I know that when we were doing the facade program, we were kind of encouraging people to use gooseneck lighting that was down lighting. But I wonder if there's any particular problem area in town, something that the town could control.
Well, the biggest one right now would be Stars Road. There's too many lights even on the road itself. I know you may not have much, I don't know if you have much control over businesses, but even more recently, some of the businesses have added really insane lighting, and that actually shines onto the road. And most people who drive by will say, oh my God, where did that come from? Because it's sort of affecting the roadways. So that's sort of the problem area, the biggest one right now. But the thing with light pollution is you may have a center where you have a clump of light, like in one spot that actually comes up. If you look at the light pollution map of the world and you zoom in on Yarmouth, it's literally right on, the red zone is right on Stars Road.
Okay.
But if everybody else kind of around it kind of gets out of control, it's kind of like having a ship and just having a bunch of holes in the ship and just plugging the big hole but leaving the little ones out. So it eventually the whole thing will sink.
I think it's a bit of an awareness piece too. So I think
Definitely.
most businesses aren't aware, obviously, that they're concerned about security, they're concerned about protecting their product, all those things, because that this is what businesses have to do. So
Right.
I think there's a way we can figure out how to navigate this, and if we work together, we can figure out, okay, these are some recommendations. This is how you can protect your stock or your yard or all these things, but also
Exactly.
maybe reduce light pollution in the same way.
Exactly. Because, we're not here to blame anything. It's just a matter of trying to come up with a solution and a plan that we can help businesses and to help, people around the community to understand what this is.
Okay, and would you have the resources available to you to conduct audits of these businesses and make recommendations to them or how would that happen?
We do have to do audits at some point because the Starlight Foundation is sort of asking for it to see where, here's all the lighting, especially with other, we were looking at the International Dark Sky Association community standards and such, and you have to conduct an audit and show, okay, here's all the problem areas, and you have so much time to rectify those areas to get certification. So we only have a small group right now. There's only, I think, 8 of us right now on the Starlight Development Society. So we are going to need help if, we want to be able to conduct something like that.
Okay, thank you.
I think there could be a way to utilize the touch points that municipalities have with businesses and people that are getting permits and those types of things. So maybe it's, I think because the town doesn't have a bylaw, but you have a policy, I believe. Maybe it's when they're coming in to get a building permit or other things like that, then those pamphlets or some of those pieces that can build awareness of the types of lighting that we should use or time of day, turning lights off, for example.
Yep.
I'm really happy with the new the new pickleball courts and stuff like that at the Mariner Center. That's really great, but those lights are on all night, right? And I'm not sure why that is, if it's security or it's safety or what that is, but maybe these are the discussions we need to have and say, do these lights need to be on all night because they're reflecting, and maybe we turn them off at midnight, or if there's a lineup of people waiting to play pickleball at midnight, then maybe we keep them on. But at least we have those conversations to try to figure that out, and those are easy fixes.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Lesser?
Thank you. And you've come and presented before during the last council, and it was very engaging. And I walked away with a different mindset. I can't say that I'm not adding to the light pollution if you've seen my house, but I am interested in knowing, I guess, if you're aware of any, or maybe even Natalie might be aware of any grants that might be available for businesses, because we can work on town-owned property, and we can work with bylaws for new construction. But I'm guessing Stars Road, when you think of what's on Stars Road, we have like car dealerships and large parking lots that are very lit up, and they're lit up all night. So that would be the area, and I'm just thinking if there's a better way that we could light those areas, probably cheaper and greener as well. And there might be, like, if I'm wondering if there might be grant money available for.
We've connected with Efficiency Nova Scotia, and recently they did have a grant for businesses for retrofit for lighting, so that's something to look into. We've also partnered up a little bit with Nova Scotia Power, specifically because of the municipality of Argyle. So municipality of Argyle is we're kind of a month away from proposing a light pollution bylaw. So we've had to forward that to Nova Scotia Power for different types of lighting. Now, we kind of ran into a little roadblock, but one of the things that's interesting is I found out there's a project that Nova Scotia Power and New Brunswick NB Power were part of that would essentially allow you to have funding for different projects as sort of a kind of a trial if you wanted to replace lighting for different, for a project, say you were looking to retrofit a town or a street. So that's a possibility as well.
Okay, and just to finish off, I worked with international students for a number of years, and still do. And I can definitely see the tourism piece, because we have many of our students that are coming from large cities that have never seen stars. And if you're living in a city, you realize there's a sky, but when you look up at night, it's, you're not seeing any of what we can see here. And I think it's incredible when you get, especially outside of town, when they get there and they can look up and see what we have in our skies. And it's interesting. I follow a lot of what you and Brenda as well post, and able to follow like what events are happening in the area. And I know like the planets aligning recently and those kind of things. But I'm looking at, like, every night when I go for a walk, I'm looking up in the sky and noticing one or two stars that might seem brighter for some reason. And the first place I usually go is to your page to see if there's anything posted about it. So thank you for being an advocate for this.
Thank you. Thanks for the comment. And it's one of those things that we've been trying and, having, different levels of success. And I think once Argyle already has like a little pamphlet that when people go to get the building permits, that they have a little pamphlet that shows what to do with the lighting, because it's part of our land use bylaw. And this is specifically what we are, defining. And then, once there's going to be another big education piece that's going to come out that will, sort of be a template for other municipalities, because, we're hoping that we can get everybody together, because if Argyle does it, but say, Clare or Shelburne or Yarmouth doesn't do it, then eventually it just creeps in and we lose it anyway. So, the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada has sort of been approaching it on a federal level. We're also hoping that we can sort of start approaching it while we're doing this on a provincial level as well.
Good. Anyone else? Go ahead, Deputy.
I just wanted to say thank you. I really enjoy your social media presence. I see a lot online, and I see a few people in the crowd that have some beautiful pictures as well. It's one of those things when we can take advantage of that natural beauty that we have. It doesn't cost any money. The sky's there. It draws people to our area. I think the big thing is what can we do to get together? I really respect the fact that you came here kind of not pointing fingers and whatnot, and really pushing the work together thing. So I think it'd be great, if Argyle, ourselves, and maybe the municipality or whatever, if we're all on the same page. As you said, if we're not together on this, it's not going to be, as productive as it could. So just keep up the great work, and looking forward to hopefully, building something in the future that can really make a difference for this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Thanks. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we've had a policy, thank you, Tim, and thank you, Neil. We've had a policy, I think, pretty much since your last presentation to council, and I think the staff in the Planning and Development Office do, to the extent of their knowledge and ability, do counsel people who are doing development about lighting considerations. That being said, if you have a plan or a strategy around education, certainly we're more than interested, because we know as the town, as the concentrated area with the bigger businesses, this is where the light is coming from. So more than happy to work with you and to see what we can do to bring down the lighting or the excess lighting. The challenge is, of course, is that you don't always need a permit to change a light fixture or change a light. So the education piece, right? Yeah. So that when people are making the choices that don't require an interaction with the town, that they make the right choices that support what we're all trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. To Gil's point on the facade program, and when he was talking about that, we can tell you what colors to paint. We can tell you all kinds of things. So I'm glad you were encouraging. We call them the goosenecks or whatever you call them. But I also don't think. I think that's something that could go simply into a bylaw, right? It's such a small distance, and I know it's little things that will make up the big picture, but that's something we should consider, Gil, maybe at the facade level first. I'll leave that with you. And to Steve's point, the not pointing the fingers, because we're sitting here going, we know there's always a light on Yarmouth for one reason or another, pardon the pun, but critical mass in towns means that there's always going to be more light. So it's our job to just, bring it down as much as possible. And I guess when I think about Stars Road and the Star car dealerships, for example, it's a conversation, but I always think they don't need it during the day, but they need it at night for protection. So we have to measure, is there a different way that you can light it up? Is there something else you could do? So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Good stuff to think about.
Yeah.
Councillor Bell?
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. I'm interested in your comments about the land use bylaw in Argyle, and I guess I'm asking whether there might be an opportunity for the town of Yarmouth to be incorporating questions about light pollution in our municipal planning strategy review. And perhaps, I mean, we have a policy, but I don't think we have enforcing bylaws in place, or?
I would have to defer to Natalie. I know her office deals with that stuff. She's nodding her head yes. Do you want to come forward? Are you able to speak to that? Sorry, are you able to speak to that? Do we have bylaws actually around?
So thank you, Neil. So we have amended the municipal planning strategy, and we've amended the land use bylaw. And it really only speaks to new construction.
Yeah.
And or renovation, whether it's large-scale residential,
Right.
commercial, et cetera. So I think what's missing is any grandfathered.
Yeah.
And I definitely agree about the education. We have used pamphlets. We've done, but it needs to be repetitive to be reinforced rather than when we remember.
Thank you. So I guess what I would like to understand moving out of this presentation is what the specific ask is, because you've talked about regional cooperation and regional focus. At a municipal level, what are your expectations for our input at I mean, we're 3 municipalities in the county of Yarmouth, and then there's Clare and Barrington. I think they're all kind of impinging in some way on the dark skies area. So are you thinking in terms of regional, a municipal contribution in terms of manpower at the society or foundation level? I mean, what is it that you would like to see us do other than what we're already doing?
So there's a few things on that. The first thing would be to get the interested parties sort of involved. Like on the municipal level or on the provincial level, we're not there yet. But anything to do with light pollution has been handed down to the municipalities. What we've done with Argyle is we've started with land use bylaw to add an education on that. The other thing is to, I mean, it's different for Argyle versus Yarmouth, but because Argyle has less sort of lighting that they don't have to worry about at the moment, right? So what would it be would be to get the parties involved in creating an education piece we have. We can promote, we can give you the details, we can help you with, here's the education you need to push out to people. We don't have the funds to do that. But the other thing would be to actually have bylaw regulations to regulate when, lighting and, to make sure that lighting becomes dark sky friendly over the next, say, I don't know, 5 years, right? So that essentially the entire town eventually would become, reduce the light pollution in the town because it has to go down. The town is not a big town, right? So it's a matter of trying to get the light pollution to a level that when new things happen and, we want people to come here, we want people to move here, that they're aware that this is important to our way, like how we, as a town, a municipality, that's part of what our culture, if you will.
If we got in a room, a bunch of us got in a room with the light, with the Starlight Committee and folks from YASTA and folks from the town and municipalities, and we said, okay, here's the challenges we have. Here's, there's too much light here, or there's wasted light during these periods of the day, or, here's the type of lighting that's getting installed when it could be this, and then we could attack each one of those problems and figure out how we could fix it together, right? And some of them the solution might be a bylaw, some of them might be policy, some of them might be education, some of them might be just making people aware of it, or providing grants or other things, right?
Yeah.
So-
But we can get in a room and say, here's the problems, and then figure out a way to attack each one of them, right?
So we'll look for that invitation from someone.
Sure. Yep.
Right?
Yeah, just one last comment, and I've looked at our dark sky policy, and I know we invited comment from the public, and I don't think that we garnered much attention, quite honestly. And I'm just wondering, I know with the facade program, it was a case of pretty much individually knocking on each door and saying, you know, would you participate, and this is the benefits. And I'm wondering if there's some kind of a recognition or a reward program that you could approach a business and say, you know, we'll include you in our promotional materials, or, you know, something that some kind of an incentive to get them to participate. But I honestly think, you know, a one-to-one approach might be the best tool in the toolbox. And if I can help in that manner, I'd be more than happy to. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
There's who we're sending.
We got to volunteer.
We're good? Thank you again very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, CAO report. Any questions for the CAO? Okay. Fire department report, and I saw the chief come in, so
He went out as well.
he went out, but he might have come back in. There he is, yeah. He just snuck back in. Anything for the chief? Oh, sorry, I didn't see that, Derek. Go ahead.
So we had a chance to talk to Mike this week, and I know it's included in the report about trying to recruit some students at the high school and staff. And we have, some of those discussions have began. And I just actually talked, knowing that today was the meeting for committee of the whole, talked to our principal today, and he's fully committed to doing whatever we can. We're trying to figure out, Mike had called and asked about, is there a possibility of kids getting credit or something along those lines if they were to join the service. So we're looking into that part. He's taking on that because I don't have the direct connection to the regional center, so he's taking on that. But he is very interested in any kind of promotion we can do, whether it's an assembly of some sort or just even social media or whatever. So we were very happy. He actually wanted me to say thank you because he's very happy that you're promoting that, and he knows there are some students. We actually had. His brother was in the office today and said he had a student the other day that wanted to join, and he knew he had to go get an eye test and just went and passed his eye test. And I don't know if you know him, but I'm not even sure who the student was, but he just passed it and was quite excited. So I think the more kids that get involved, it will be kind of a cool thing for kids to get involved in and do. So thank you for thinking of us.
Yeah, thank you. We've had students over the past 3 years now, I guess, that have done the O2 program and those programs with us, and it's worked out well. They talk with their friends, and I gave an application to a young fellow yesterday he's coming back for a second 40-hour stint with us. So yeah, we're doing everything we can to reach that demographic that we haven't leveraged in the past. So thank you.
Good. Any more questions for the chief? Thank
Thanks.
you. Okay, operational services. So Chad's out today, but any questions for Chad? I did want to say to council that I am going to do an interview with CGLS because of these transit ride, 142%. Oh, sorry, go, I want you to share what you.
That's exactly what I was going to.
Oh. Why am I, oh, sorry, Derek, that's all right, go ahead, Steve.
That's exactly what I was going to speak to, the quality of numbers that, kind of pop up. And it's great that, we have our new buses and people are taking full advantage of, the free service. And you just wonder how many people who are getting out and around who might have been caught in this awful winter that we have that can jump on the bus for an hour, feel safe, not have to drive themselves, and, get out and just the quality of life, the mental health, and, just not only the transportation, but getting from A to B. But it's really encouraging to see these numbers, and I hope we continue to maintain that.
Yeah, And I think we will. And when you say those numbers, like when we look, we're at 3108 in January. I think we were like 1280. What's that? 3180? Oh gosh, I got 3108. Oh, okay. And 1282 last January, like 142. So if you, I'm not good at, yes, I am good at fast math. I used to add up groceries, right? Anyway, that's 1,800 people that are hopping on a bus that either didn't have $2 or you can't find $2, you can't find your way to a space that would sell you one before you hop on, like a million reasons. It's just, I just love this. Go ahead, sorry. I get so excited.
Just wanted to say that Councillor Lacroix and I work in a learning center together with students with special needs. And the TAs approached us about going on trips. And they've been using it the last 2 Wednesdays. They got on the bus in front of the high school because you can stop the bus as it's going by. They've done field trips where they've gone to the post office and mailed. They've done shopping. And I know they're going to continue to do things. They're going to do the public library next week. But those are things that it's very difficult to get a school bus during the day with budgets and with road conditions and that. But it's exciting to think that these kids who normally wouldn't get out and see that can see it. So that's a real positive, and I'm very impressed with their numbers. And then the other thing I wanted to comment on Chad's report that I really appreciate, and I know it's small, but it means a lot to me that I like that we don't have percentages anymore, like percentage of what's done. To me, it's like, and I know I've talked about it before, but having a percentage of something studied, I kind of wanted to figure out what that part was. So not having that part in anymore, it feels a lot, I know it's less accurate maybe, but it feels a lot nicer to know it's being studied without a number with it. So, thank you.
Might not be less accurate, it's just, it could be replaced like words like sort of, almost, just about there, right? So it must have been hard to put those numbers on in the first place, right? So glad you caught that one. Yeah, that was a good one. Anything else on public works and operations? We good? Okay, planning and economic development. Questions for Natalie, and she's here. I have a couple, but okay, I'll start. I'll start. So we were on a call today. You were on the housing call? Yes. I didn't see you because I was driving. Homelessness, I'm sorry. The homelessness. So they were bringing up they were bringing up the numbers, and this many are home, and when they said homeless, they were different categories. Yeah, so everything from couch surfing to not the proper accommodations, truly homeless, those, I did screenshot that. So my question is, I looked through the report and I couldn't find it in maybe Adam's piece. So the minimum housing standards, and I had a chat with the girls after. You might have left. I don't know if you left the call.
Yeah, I left. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I was just saying that we have minimum housing standards, and from what I could see from those housing numbers, people were saying they're home under the homeless banner because they're living in, I want to say, like unfit accommodations, for example. And that includes things that, and you correct me if I'm off, but for me, that included things like, my place is rat infested, or my heat's not working, or I've got broken windows, my door is, letting the snow in, which we hear that all the time. And I said to that team that everybody may not have this, but I think every municipality should have it, that minimum housing standards where if we know, we can send in our person, and if I'm right, he can go in, he can look at what's wrong and say to the landlord, you need to fix this, and if you don't fix it, we'll fix it and we'll put it on your taxes. Okay, so that's really important, but for me, it's all around education. Like, people don't know, and if they don't know, they can't access that. And number two, if they don't know they can't access it, and then I was going to say something else, but I forgot. They can't access it if they don't know about it. Oh, that's what it was. The tenancy board. So the other half of that, I'm preaching to the choir here, but I just want Natalie to help us find our way through it. The other fear, and I would say the biggest, is fear, right? I'm afraid I'm going to get booted out by my landlord if I report it. That literally has had me in tears at my desk and at my, like, that kills me, that you're living in that. We can fix it, but you're afraid.
Yes,
It makes me sad, but it makes me ugly.
yes.
More than
I
that.
think it's also, so you're correct, Mayor Pam. I think it's also compounded by if you are a newcomer, you're not familiar with the language, you're waiting for your PR. So there's fear and threat, where do I go?
Exactly.
Because, right
Yeah.
now we're in a little bit of a shortage. So I think that, and there will be a public report that will come out and a presentation to council. This was just the initial data.
Yeah, exactly.
Representation.
Yeah.
But I think the key takeaways are, once we see the regional numbers, to just understand some of the situations and some of the causes. So some of it's not necessarily related to having a roof, but what's within the roof.
Exactly.
And the other part is to what you've just said, is how to inform them where they can go to get help. So for example, legal aid is consolidated in Halifax, so it's the DAL legal aid that looks at the tenancy. So they're going to actually physically be here for the housing forum.
Okay.
But what happens is someone can go, example, to the Women's Center if they have a landlord-tenants situation, and then they will do the referral to DAL, or they can go directly to DAL. And I think I've passed on some of that context. So if you're a property owner and landlord and you're looking to get into this as your new opportunity, it's good for you to investigate what are your rights as a landlord, especially as you're creating that rental agreement, and then to also know the rights of your tenants. So all of that information is on the DAL site. As a matter of fact, it's also a link on our Housing Resource Hub.
Okay, good.
If you go to useful links or resources, it's right there, and it goes right to the DAL site where you can download the most up-to-date information. So I really encourage landlords, people that want to get into that business, and tenants to go there. That's where you'll get your information.
Okay. That was just, that one hit me like a ton of bricks. So, go ahead.
Just comment on the Housing Hub. It is like the best spot for people reaching out with questions, whether it's, do we know of any apartments? I'm sure we all get it from people. They're looking for a place to rent. But sending them to that site so they can do their research themselves it's an incredible spot to have everything in one location. So thank you for that. The other part is at the presentation for the housing, that the proposed housing across from NSCC. It was quite interesting because talking to some people afterwards, it seemed like I think there were other developers in that room. I don't know how far in the process they were, but I think development is encouraging development. And I know it seems like it takes and it does take a long time. We all want more housing, and then you look at how much has actually happened in 4 years. A lot of those things are getting to a point that we're going to see them done, I think. But it does take, it takes a few people investing and doing well with it that others get involved. So I think that somebody's willing to come here and put 105 to 140 units in, I think is enticing to other people as well, knowing that, and the incentives as well. Like there's so many incentives for affordable housing and breaks on efficiency and those kind of things. So, and all that's on our Housing Hub. So the more we can promote that, the better. Thanks.
I just wanted to add one thing to do with the transit. So I'd asked, and if Chad was here, he'd be able to provide it to you, but I think you'd be interested to know the top 4 stops.
Oh, yeah.
So in the past, the top 4 would have been Jim McLeod Square. It would have been the mall, you know, the Walmart area. So surprisingly, number 1 is Jim McLeod Square, no surprise. Number 2 is a surprise, NSCC. So this has been, when we originally did the route, it was how can we encourage the students, because a lot of them are out of town and to use the transit. So number 2 is NSCC, number 3 is the mall, and number 4 is Walmart. So that's really encouraging, supporting students who need to make choices on food rent. They don't need to make choices on transit.
Matters.
Mayor, if you'd like to.
I'm
make
going to use
sure-
that. I have the before ones, I have Jim McLeod Square,
Walmart, and it would have been the mall.
Yeah.
And then it would have then followed by the stop at, in front of Fresh Mart. Fresh Mart.
Fresh Mart,
Yeah.
yes.
That's a high usage area. But yeah, it was really nice to see that NSCC is in the top 4.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know the number of that 3,000, but
Doesn't.
to know the top 4, that our guys are keeping track of that. So just wanted to make mention of that too, yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you. I wanted to say on this whole, the homeless and all this other piece while we're sitting here before I forget, did a full day with the province and Parents Place pulled it together with a pile of stakeholders around the food insecurity. And it was really helpful. So there's a whole, again, talking to the people that know it, but a whole pile of people doing the same thing, and we really need to come together. So for example, I don't want to embarrass him, but Steve does a lot on the food, but he also always reaches out and says, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And you kind of, you add to it as opposed to piling it on. So that's what we're just trying to do more of that, right? And
Might be great to do like a food resource hub, like the housing hub, so
Yeah.
that people know. I mean, we do get,
Yeah.
I
And
did
that's-
have a senior, it was a referral from you, Mayor,
Yeah.
that's looking to relocate here, so she's doing her site selection decision-making. And it was so easy for me to say, hey, you know what? Why don't I send you this resource, and you can take a look, you're at the location you'd like is there, but if you're going to be on a wait list, why don't you check out the others? So it's, especially for people who are not technology savvy, may not have the phone number, it's not easily accessible or not up to date. It's just a place to direct people. So I would really highly suggest, if you're not familiar, just go check it out. Again, if things need to be updated, we've had people from the public send us saying, oh, update this, 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 and this. So we appreciate, real-time information as well.
yeah, exactly. Anyone else?
Yep, just,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Natalie, did you want to comment at all on the 2 graphs, the one on the development permits and the other one on the building permits? They both seem to be very, very high for January relative to last year. Pages 4 and 5. Oh, sorry, pages 3 and 4.
CAO, are you talking about the building permit graph?
Development permits
And-
and
yeah.
building permits, yes.
So in the month of January, we received the development building permit for the Mariner Center expansion. So that's a $40 million project. And so that is, an outlier into what we would normally receive. So we just wanted to show that information separately. So that's the difference that you see in that graph. And we're trying to, like, when we get those situations, is typically, it would be hard to see because everything else normalized would be quite tiny. So we just changed the graph up a little bit.
But
So
you
that
have
was-
you have 19 development permits.
Yes. So a lot of those were related to short-term rentals.
Okay.
So we had
Oh, there it is.
DAs coming through, and so issuing that. We had one project, one commercial, that had 8 permits, building permits. So it's a project that just had to be broken up. So that was 8 permits right there and then. So that made up the 19.
Good. Anyone else for Natalie? Good,
Great.
thank you. Engineering. I see Mario sitting back there. Any questions? Anything you need to share, Mario? You good? Okay. Oh, sorry. That just.
Thank you, Your
just that
Worship.
one on the door. I can't, your.
Oh, you can't,
Your
yeah.
mic was over in the door too. Derek's anyway. Perfect.
Hi to Mario. Just wondering about the tenders for the wastewater treatment plant, for the RFP, that closes tomorrow, I think?
I closed today at 2 p.m.
Oh, closed today.
Yeah, we received 2 bids.
So just wondering if you can give us an idea of how much interest there might have been in that RFP. Did you get many tenders?
Yeah, we received 2 responses, and one of them is definitely a very good firm. We're pleased to see their submission.
Good, okay. I'm just curious. It's, big project.
It is. It's
Yep.
a very big project.
Thank you.
Guess we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kate, finance. Oh, Jerry's not here. Jerry's away. I think he's gone on a retreat to figure out our budget. No? Okay. All right, so we have under finance the write-off list. And, okay, so the recommended motion is to recommend that council approve the write-off list for 2025 totaling $5,086.24. Is that 2024 or 2025? Oh, okay. Okay, so can I have a motion, and then I want Jeff to explain. Go ahead, Council.
If it's seconded.
Yep, moved and seconded. Go ahead.
Oh, so just and looking at the list that's been provided, some of these date back as far as 2021, 2022, and 2023. So it's accumulation over a number of years.
Does anybody have a good understanding of that is? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, so we have Yards Recreation. Frank is here. Any questions for Frank? Go ahead, Deputy.
Not a question, just a comment. We had a great recreation meeting, which I think we really kind of come together and figured out kind of what we're going to do, and looking forward to kind of, getting the rubber to hit the road here and, get some progress kind of with regular meetings and whatnot, but it was very encouraging.
There you go. And next one on Monday. This Monday coming. February is gone.
Just wondering, I guess selfishly, but Carleton School is one of the rec schools, I believe. So I was asked the other night by a parent who actually has access to Carleton, and they said, for volleyball, wanted to know if that school can be used for volleyball. And I said, I don't know if they have the equipment or whatever, but I said, I think part of the problem in the past is like Port Maitland and Carleton is finding people to work. And I'm just wondering, are most of the schools that we have community use agreements with, do we have people to staff them if people want to use that?
Yep. We do have some issues with staffing. One of the big things with our rural schools is custodial. custodial services in those smaller schools ends early. So we often have issues with getting access to schools after.
So the question in this case, and I mean, I think it's bigger than that only because of other people that might want to do it without, if there's no custodial services and stuff. But the question in this case was if a staff member wanted to go in and open the school, would that be allowed with the community use? And I know I probably should know this because I was the community use person for the board for a while, but I don't know the answer to it. So I guess if a staff member in one of those schools wanted to go in, if they went through you first, and there was no staff, would that be something that could be worked through, that a staff member could open the school up?
It has happened. Usually it comes from the principal or admin when staff are using the school. But the main issues that we have, yes, we have had issues with finding staff to work to open up schools and provide supervision. But the main issue that we've run into is that custodial issue, is that the principal doesn't want us in the school because the janitor leaves at 5:30 at night and we come in afterwards and there's no cleaning done after the group leaves.
Yeah.
My thing is 95% of the time they want gym space. Really, how much mess is being made in the gym space?
Right.
Really, the issue is this time of year with wet boots and mud, the foyers become dirty, and then it becomes a problem for opening the school the next morning. We just had a meeting last week with Craig Crosby and Dave Buckland with the board. Community use for my entire career has been one of the top things that I'm trying to work and make changes. It's very difficult because once we get a good working relationship in a school, and the board relies so heavily on a principal, and then staffing changes, and then sometimes things change. So we're always constantly massaging those relationships. But if you know of someone that's interested in booking school, get them in touch with us, and we'll do everything that we can to make it work.
Okay. Yeah, this was, like I said, it was a selfish one on this case, but I know it's come up before in the past about, would there be enough staff to do it? And I didn't actually realize the custodial piece, so that's good information.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, Jeff, what's she gonna ask now? What's coming next? So, I have a hard problem with no. I say it respectfully because I believe these are community schools, they're paid for by taxpayers, and the benefit to the kids, whether they're 3 years old or 18 years old, is and adults, right? We're trying to create it's what you're trying to do, right? Create that community of activity.
And it's not just us. The school board has healthy, active living consultants.
Yes.
They have health promoting school teams. So
that's what I wanted. I'm asking the question, where does it land? Because is it a conversation with the minister? I ask that genuinely because I don't think there's anything more disheartening than a group that's us saying, I say us, but rec and us saying, we want you to be active, and then trying to book a school and somebody saying no, like in my.
But I don't think it's happening a lot. There are cases where it's happening, but it's not happening 10 times, in my opinion.
Okay.
It's not like every day we're turning people away.
Yeah.
There are some issues that do come up from time to time.
And I understand that, and it's not a finger pointed at anybody or at the school board or anything like that. It's just, I think everybody would like it to be fixed, so that it's good. So maybe we'll talk about that.
Yep.
We'll talk about that at a rec meeting, just so we can find a way, because we need to be able to say to the public. So if Derek's person, and I don't think it's a selfish question because it doesn't matter which school, it's genuinely you've had that question, right? It could be a person from town wanting to go to Carleton because Grammy lives there, it doesn't matter. But if he gets that question, and then, Kelly gets another question, and then Gil gets another question, and all three answers are no, then all of a sudden you know how it works, like the community's feeling like we're shut down, and we're not, but we just want to make sure that the community understands either we're doing our best, which we are, or that we're fixing it, or whatever. We just need to understand the lay of the land, I guess. Maybe you guys understand it because you're in the school, but I don't. I just don't. So, Derek and then Kelly.
I got to be careful what I say because I have another employer, but I guess my thoughts would be, and this is not against the school board and not against the department or whatever, but I guess the question I would ask if I was you talking to the minister is, how many schools in Halifax do not have custodian services at night? And if that's the only reason that custodial services need to be there is so kids in that area can be active, I think that's what everybody wants. So maybe it's the department needs to put more money into custodial services at night for those, because I don't think the region is going to find extra money from what they have, but that might be I think, is it the same amount of custodial services or the same hours in the city as it would be, or a larger center than it would be in a place like Carleton or Port Maitland or somewhere? So that would be my suggestion if you do have that conversation is, could possibly they find some extra money for that purpose?
That could be a simple fix.
It wasn't that long ago that custodial fees were charged.
Yeah.
So, but the board in the last few years have waived any custodial fees, so that's evenings and weekends. So to me, that's a big stride there, but it's still not perfect.
Yeah.
And to me, like I said before, 95% of the groups that want to go into school, they want to use a gym space.
Oh, absolutely.
So they're putting sneakers on and doing their thing. And you flick the lights on, and the gym is the gym. It's not like it's got tables and chairs set up or there's garbage screwed all over the floor. It's pretty simple, not a whole lot of mess in the gym area. And sometimes we do get a lot of that feedback that, oh, you can't do that because of this. And like I said, with those two outlying schools, they don't have staff cleaning the school till 10 o'clock like Yes and Meadowfields and Maple Grove. So, but we're working on it. We're, Craig and Dave hear us, and we're having meetings regularly, but like I said, this is something in my entire career that once we seem like we're making some strides, all of a sudden things change again, and it's kind of a uphill slope.
I feel like everyone wants it fixed, like not just us, Are you good, Kelly? Did you? Yeah. You answered it?
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Couple things.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so, it's kind of a mindset when you think about it. Like if we shut down Mariner Center when the custodian was done, right? Like we don't. We have arena operators, but the last thing they do in the day is not mop the lobby floor, right? That gets done the next day. You constantly have people coming in with boots and tracking in salt or sand or whatever. It's never going to be pristine for more than 10 minutes, and then it's in use again. It's a public building. And so it's just a bit of a mindset around what's more important, that it looks pristine and shiny the first person walks in the building in the morning, or that it's getting used and the community's benefiting. That's one thing. Second thing, I want to point out that Frank is celebrating an anniversary, 20 years as the Director of Recreation. Congratulations, Frank.
Thank you. 20 years tomorrow. So I started when I was 14. But in saying that, I'm more kind of worried about another longtime employee of ours. John Darcy's coming up on 31 years in April, and he's given us a date. So he is retiring in April of 26. So I've got him one more summer. It's hard to believe, but so we're going to be doing some planning around replacing John, because the knowledge that he has and the abilities that he does is I could never put a number on it, but. Couple other things, if I may, just quickly.
Sure.
Volunteer nominations, we've started that process. It still is a little bit of a strange procedure now that we have provincial volunteer celebrations happening in September. So we're doing the nominations during Volunteer Week in the spring, but celebrating in the fall because we take the lead at the province. So I encourage councillors around the table, if they know a number of volunteers, to put their nominations in. It's an online form. It's very simple, very quick. And the other point I wanted to make, just something that came up was, I think a complaint that came into Town Hall about deer getting into Gateway Park. So we, believe it or not, I've seen it myself, that deer are using the man door into the park. So we have 3 doors that are gated, 2 are gated and locked, and 1, there's no door on going into the park, and it's only, probably doesn't meet accessibility standards, it's very narrow. So when we've had deer in there, I have gone in and witnessed deer run out that door. So we have put a gate on the door, it's not locked. We're gonna put some signs on it to make sure people know why there's a gate there, and that when they come into the park, if they could close it to try to keep the deer out. What I'm not convinced of is that I think they may be getting into the park in the lower area by the church rectory where the fence is low. So I think they're jumping the fence, coming in the park after the grass, and it could be more of an issue now that we have a gate that's closed. So we're gonna monitor it. I guess we had a week or so ago a deer in the park, and someone came in with their dog, took the dog off the leash, and then the dog chased the deer. So then the deer's banging into the fence. So anyway,
Shouldn't have been in there without known her.
I'm hoping that they're not hopping the fence, but I just thought I'd let you know that we're trying to keep them out, but I think they're finding a way in, even if there is a gate on the door.
I might be the only one, but it doesn't affect me because they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Right? We're upset that they're everywhere, but you can't do anything. Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, just to comment, a 6-foot fence is not much of a deterrent to a deer.
It's not.
Yeah.
So unless the fence is 8 feet or more, yeah, you're not going to be able to control them.
A couple times I've
And so-
been there, I've seen them trying to jump the 8-foot fence, and they get quite high up, so it makes me think that they could hop a 4 easily and probably a 6.
Only thing we can do is pave it.
Yeah,
Can't afford that right now.
thank you.
Thanks, Frank. All righty, business. Okay, so we're at number 9, truck route bylaw. The recommended motion is to recommend the council make no changes to the truck route bylaw as recommended by staff. Moved and seconded. So my only question is, isn't there something on your list about the truck route in Main Street? Is that something different? Bylaw restricting large trucks in the downtown, but that's different from, right, thank you. Okay, didn't want to have a conflict there. Okay, any discussion? Go ahead there, Councillor Raval.
Just a question, really. I think, Your Worship, thank you. I noticed that the truck route ends at the end of Pleasant Street and it ends at the end of the Haley Road. Why? I mean, like, what happens to a truck that goes to the end of the Haley Road? Like, how do you turn around? What do you do?
I don't know that many trucks do, but the way the truck route works is that you're expected to stay on the truck route and go off the truck route to get to your destination following the shortest route possible. There used to be another street that was in the truck route that got deleted back 13, 14 years ago, and we haven't had a lot of complaints, I have to say.
Okay.
But it does look curious, and
Okay,
I wasn't optimistic at the time that this was going to work, but
Okay,
Here we
good.
are.
That's great.
Good? Okay, all those in favor? Aye, contrary? Motion carried. 9B, to recommend the council direct staff to investigate signage and/or painting yellow lines on Main Street at the corners of Ellis and Chester Streets to indicate no parking zones. Moved by Councillor Lesser, seconded by Councillor Lacroix. Go ahead there, Councillor Davis.
Yeah, just a comment that, that might improve the visibility for people trying to pull out of those two streets. And if that's the goal, then great. I will say that just having gone down there last evening, driving down Main Street with cars parked on both sides, that in passing an oncoming vehicle, if anybody on either side of that road had opened their car door, I'd have hit it, or he'd have hit it. There's not enough room there for two cars to pass with people opening their doors. So it's a narrow part of the street, and it's unfortunate that we can't stagger the parking somehow.
Is that different than downtown? You think it's wider through Main? Really? Okay.
Fourth, you'll see that, I don't know what the name of the street is before that, but you'll see that if you look at it, the street is probably about 3 feet less room, and it's a real tight fit in there. So it was really bad when there were snowbanks on both sides. That's when it was really treacherous, but even last night. Anyway, just a comment.
Yep, good, thank you. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. 911 calls at Yarmouth Hospital update. Who put that on? Did I put that on? Oh, yes, police advisory. So we didn't have anything further on that? Yes, the town was going to look into, did we get a letter back from the hospital? Okay, so what are the next steps? I think that's what we're looking for, right? What are next steps? Because it's nothing's changing. No. No. Go ahead.
Yep, correct me if I'm wrong. It's when you're using the in-house system,
Yeah.
you have to dial 9902, and for some reason, sometimes it gets 911. And it's shooting out calls to 911 accidentally, which is sending police to the hospital for no reason, tying up the police resources.
No, you tell me, I'm just trying to.
That was my
find-
understanding from the advisory council there, police advisory.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find my notes. Go ahead there. Oh, sorry. You thinking or are you going to talk?
I'll talk.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so let's follow up with another letter, and this time let's copy Halifax. I can't believe that this is a Yarmouth-only issue, unless the phone system at Yarmouth Regional Hospital is different than the phone system at other regional hospitals, and it very well may be. And if it is, maybe they should change it, update it. If it is across the province, if every town with a regional hospital is facing a similar issue, then obviously we can probably gather some support. But if it is just simply the phone system here is different, then maybe it's time for an upgrade.
Exactly. Go ahead, Councilor.
Yeah, just very quickly, the only reason I asked the question about the payphones is, in the past, if people had dialed a number, for example, if you dialed 749-1136,
Yeah.
and you didn't put your quarter in, the only thing that it would recognize is the 911. So if there's any numbers being dialed from there that you haven't accessed an outside line, or you haven't accessed it properly, or something, and you're still getting those 3 digits in a row, it could be, that would trigger a 911 call. And I'm just wondering if that should be investigated
So-
first.
Yeah, definitely should be. Go ahead, Councilor. Well, hang on. Are you good? Okay, and then Val, and then Kelly.
In-house system at the,
Yeah, they
that's
said
what
it-
Jamie said, yeah. Not that it couldn't be that as well, but they were very clear on what was causing it.
but it's easy to make a phone call and just, right, we'll do that. Okay? Councillor Hatfield.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think that if we have been unsuccessful in igniting interest at the site lead level, which is the local level, it might be time to escalate and send a letter to the Vice President responsible for Western Region. I think her name is Tanya Nixon, if it's still the same person. But I just think that we need to escalate.
That's where it went.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, then Halifax.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Okay, so the motion here would be to have staff follow up with the 911 calls issue by sending another letter to Yarmouth Regional Hospital and copying the province. Okay, moved, seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, Yarmouth International Airport Corp. intermunicipal agreement. Go ahead.
So, Your Worship, the airport intermunicipal agreement came before council just ahead of the last municipal election, so I'm going to say it was probably September-ish, and council did approve it at that time with an agreement that had a couple of matters that were in an appendix to be addressed later. And the District of Argyll, I'm not pointing fingers at all, I'm just saying that they felt that we should work out those issues prior to signing the agreement. And so it was sent back to staff, and after the elections, Alain, Victoria, and myself have done some additional work on the agreement. The changes are highlighted in yellow and green for your reference in terms of what has changed since September. And what we're looking for is for the three councils to approve the agreement, so then we'll have a current agreement on funding that will be in effect. We are all joint owners of the airport. This essentially is a governance and funding agreement.
Okay, so the idea is for us to okay this, and then is it coming to council? We do a special meeting, we bringing it to council?
You have time to bring it to council in 2 weeks, but
okay.
what we're hoping is that you'll recommend it to council.
Yeah.
And I guess I should say, one of the sections you'll notice we deleted is we deleted the whole section on termination and withdrawal. You own the airport, you can't walk away from something you own. The municipalities may unanimously at some point make that decision, but that's the only way. One of the other features that we put in this agreement, and we'll be looking to put in other intermunicipal agreements, is non-compliance. So there are requirements within the agreement for the airport corporation to comply with the requirements of the intermunicipal agreement. If they don't comply, if there was an instance, anyway, if they don't comply, then the CAOs will meet with the CEO and/or the board, get to the bottom of the non-compliance, and hopefully work together to bring the entity back into compliance with the intermunicipal agreement. And I don't know if there's anything else there that. No, I think that's pretty much it.
I like this section 5, this board orientation and training.
Mm-hmm. That's been in there,
Yeah, I like that. Should probably go in most of our. So can I ask one question? Thank you. 28B. So the compliance, what, does that mean 2 out of 3 agree? what happens there? I'm not quite understanding it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've talked about that, Alan, Victoria and I. We put in a majority, but it's very likely that three CAOs will come to the same conclusion, that there's a matter of non-compliance, and then it's a matter of informing the board and the manager and seeking compliance and working with them to bring it into compliance. I can't imagine necessarily a situation where you wouldn't have 3 out of 3 agree on a matter of non-compliance that required some action at the board level.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Dares.
I just want to acknowledge the work that the CAOs did put into this. It has been a bit of a headache, and I think I've been a bit of a headache to them, quite honestly. But I would like to recommend, or I'd like to make a motion, we recommend the council sign the agreement.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any more discussion, questions, anything? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Salary review, the recommended motion is to recommend that council direct staff to investigate a salary review for council members. Anyone dare to take that on? I need a review of mine. I'll be blunt. Okay. I mean, doesn't, what if we, if you, I have to take this. Can you move, can you do this? Go to the next one. Sorry.
I think she wants a raise. So I guess we can move on from that one.
Do you want to set that aside and move on, or thought I heard there?
Do we get a seconder? Okay. Go ahead.
So I can see, I looked at the provincial numbers, had no idea that like a counselor in Halifax it's 100% a full-time professional job. Like and I know they have more responsibility as well, but I couldn't believe how much some municipalities are paying. I'm not like, I know the mayor has a different portfolio than we do. I don't have a problem with having staff come with a review. I mean, it will be an unbiased review, and I don't mind them coming back, and then we can make a decision. But it is a very difficult thing, obviously, when you're talking about your own salary I almost feel like I should declare a conflict of interest voting on it, but I know that doesn't really fit. But I think it's a good idea to go through the process, just to for comparison of how many committees we sit on, or and compared to what other municipalities are paying. I don't think there's a reason not to go through the process, and then we can look at what the results are, I guess.
Councillor Dares?
Yeah, just, it's quite simply just a review. It's not, doesn't have any financial repercussions at this point, so I'd support the motion.
Yep. I guess from where I sit and reading this motion, I'm really not exactly clear on what the work would be. We can do everything from just simply collecting the data from our most likely comparators, 5 towns that are roughly the same size, to we could go. I know HRM did a council remuneration review. I'm going from memory here, but I think they appointed a citizen panel. I believe they may have engaged a consultant, and I know council has in the past engaged a consultant to do salary review for me. I've engaged a consultant to do salary review for other staff. So you can have a third party kind of independent look at it. I don't know, I guess I would want some direction or some clarification in terms of the level of what the expectation is. If it's simply gather data from 5 or even 50 municipalities and present it to you in a spreadsheet, that doesn't give you much depth of information. It's kind of superficial. We could go the extra mile and have an actual, have somebody do a more in-depth look at it within reason. And I'll just say, I'll tell you what I'm thinking is that I've talked with Jerry Walsh. You all are somewhat familiar with him. Jerry was involved in the compensation review with Halifax a number of years ago. And if the direction was to do a good job of this, then I would probably look to engage him to get his advice, if not his services, to help with this.
I love the idea of having somebody else do the work, because there's a perceived, I guess there's a perception, whether it's accurate or not, it's really not accurate, that council has one employee who's the CAO, who directs staff, and how impartial can it be? And I have no question that our staff would do an impartial job doing it. I guess my biggest thing is I don't think anybody at this table is doing it for the pay. And at the same time, when it's a full-time position, like in Halifax, I fully support what just happened with our current government. They gave themselves a big increase. I think that was needed, because when I looked at, people that are running for those seats and thinking of even premiers in different provinces, we just had a premier resign, who's a pediatric surgeon who was, as a premier of the province, was making probably a third of what he could be making as a surgeon. So, when income does matter in a tight economy, I think having the right people at the table, I'm talking about a provincial government, but that's a tough thing for any government to do, to review that. And I think that's probably the hesitation here is, how do you look at possibly increasing what you're getting compensated for? But my thoughts would be, if we're going to go through that process, it would be nice to have either citizens or an outside person look at it as well, just so they would feel comfortable. Like, I wouldn't want to put any staff on the spot to try to make that decision, I guess.
Councillor Dares?
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, I thought actually that the motion was vague enough that it would allow the CAO to make that determination if you want to reach out to an outside force.
It is vague.
What? But I mean, if you want that included, I'd be more than happy to. I just, I don't think it's...
I guess I would say that I think it's probably not, I can gather basic data for you, but I don't know that it's appropriate for me to recommend, my boss's salary.
No, that's fine. So I just thought that, just my understanding was the motion was vague enough to allow.
Yeah, but
If it's not, then let's refine it.
Yeah, I think that I just want you to know that if we're going to do this, then we should probably do it right, and probably along with a review, come up with a policy. What is the interval going to be for future reviews? Because I can tell you that I believe the Halifax policy is that they review every 4 years, but they review in the last year of the term for the next council.
Yes.
Right, so it removes the certainty of a conflict to sort of look ahead, right?
Okay. Oh, do you want to do this? Yeah, sure.
So can you suggest a change in the wording of the motion? 'Cause I'd withdraw the original motion. I think I moved it.
No, I don't think that it needs to be withdrawn entirely. To investigate, I would say to engage a consultant to carry out a salary review.
I'll happy to amend the motion as suggested.
Second that? Okay. Councillor Bell?
Thank you. Just, when was the last time this was done? I mean, because I'm aware there was like CPI adjustments or something. So when was the last time a review was done?
I would, looking at Lindsay, look, she, yeah, it hasn't been done well since I've been here. It's, so I think this approach is an approach that we should try to embed in a policy on a regular cycle, and do it well once and repeat.
Mayor moved.
What are we saying? What happened? Am I allowed to know?
Yeah. Of course.
Did I do something?
No, I asked council for clarification on the intent, whether this was simply a gather some data and bring the data back, or was there an expectation that we would do a deeper review? I talked about what Halifax has done in the past. They've used independent panels, they've used consultants. I mentioned that I knew that Jerry Walsh had been involved in some of that work. I've talked about it in the past. So I suggested that if council wanted to do this well, that they would do it. We would engage a consultant to assist in the process, and then we would embed in policy a regular interval for the work to be done. And ideally, and I say ideally, that's not the right word, but I know that Halifax does it late in a council's mandate, and they make a decision on the compensation for the next council, right?
Gotcha.
So that we'll do it once, and we'll rinse and repeat, and probably set a schedule or an interval that will coincide late in the mandate rather than early in the future.
Okay. Yeah, it hasn't happened since I've been here. That's 12 years. I'm just going to speak freely, and then the public can come and just watch Facebook. It's hard. It's hard when you're going 7 days a week, from 7 in the morning till 10 at night. And thankfully, Steve's there every time I call. He's there to fill in for stuff. And I've called on other council members. It's a lot. I think it's more than it ever was. I also think it's what you make it. So I'm just being talking really freely now. It's what you make it, and I haven't said anything because I said, what if somebody doesn't, but that's not our call. It's just, the other thing is, when we do have mayors, whether it's in Yarmouth or Halifax or Bridgewater, wherever they are, how do you get somebody to do full-time on that salary and doing the work that you do? You can't, you just can't. And we're looking for good people to step up, and I've said it before, and I know people kind of shake their heads, but what are you doing? Well, you're the elected lead for an $85 or $90 million company. That's what it is. You're expected to lead that, and I know the CAO does. They do the operations, but we're making the decisions, and it's the decisions that come from us that they implement, and it's no longer asking, should we or shouldn't we add fluoride to our water? There's some big decisions being made, and we need the right people at the table, and the right people will step up if they're getting paid to do the job they're doing. I'm just being honest, and I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do, but it's hard watching. It's hard watching folks get paid a lot of money for the same job, and it's hard. Anyway, thanks.
Councillor Lester?
I think part of the problem as well is that we all have different roles in council, and I know the mayor's job, none of us have offices here. We have a lounge, but it's kind of the expectation. Well, it's been the expectation in Yarmouth, and I don't know if that is really the expectation or not, that you have regular hours here. And I know there's been, not getting into names, but there's been other people in the past that haven't, I believe, have not kept regular hours, but it's a good thing to have. You know, if somebody's coming into town hall, to have the mayor there is good. The deputy also then, you know, takes on when you're away or whatever. I look at my position with committees. I can't be on as many committees because I work during the day. I would love to see that as a part of the factor, to be honest. If, you know, those that are, you know, to my right here as well, that are on more committees maybe deserve, you know, a different compensation than, and I don't know if there's a way of doing that or not. And I wouldn't want to make it so, you know, people are fighting to get on a committee for money, but, you know, it can be busy work, but I also know that my colleagues, you know, can put a lot more hours than I do. And I know, you know, the more things you're involved in, the more work you do. And one thing you did miss that I said is that I fully support the MLA's raise that they just got. It was a much needed raise in order to attract the quality people that you want into those jobs. And I think, you know, the same thing applies to mayor. Like there's a reason why we don't have a whole bunch of people applying or running to be the mayor. And I think people see it as a full-time position. So I think it is a bit different with councillors and the mayor and deputy mayor and the amount of work that each councillor does. I would say, you know, and to be fully transparent, I would say I'm on probably the least amount of committees as far as hours go, because I can't do those during the day. And that bothers me some, that, you know, we're all compensated the same way. So I don't know if there's, you know, if that could be factored into it somehow, but just some thoughts on it, I guess.
Councillor Dares?
Number one, just to address a point that the councillor brought up about people getting compensated for the number of meetings they go to. That was really old school, and I'm glad that it doesn't exist anymore. Because I quite honestly am familiar with the fact that there were people that were attending committee meetings just for the paycheck. The point I wanted to make here is that I don't want to overthink it at this time. And I think that's what we're doing. We're maybe overthinking it. It's long overdue that there be a review, and a review of the amount of hours that it requires to do the job. And let's just leave it at that. Let's do the review. We don't know where it's going to land. Maybe we're being overpaid as councillors. I don't know. I have no idea where this is going to land, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean that we're voting to move in that direction. It just means that we wanted the information. And I don't see any harm in that.
Great point.
I'll just finish off by saying that Councillor Dares is right. We did used to do that. And I don't wonder why it popped into your head, because you want to be able to do more, but you can't. And that's okay. But you're right. Like, we know there were people that, and not necessarily on this council, but they used to just go to meetings. So let me get this, will give me another, right? And it's not conducive to the good work. I want you also to understand that when I say people doing, when I'm going all these hours, that's not anything to do with council. This is me watching other leaders, and it's really hard. It's really hard when you take on all of that, because it affects us and affects the community and everything, and it's hard when you're looking at paychecks. And I don't do what I do for the money, but I do care about the next person that comes in, and it's only fair to look at it. So anyway, thanks, folks.
Good. Councillor Dares, is your mic still on?
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Thank you. Recommended motion that council pass the first reading to amend section 3.1 of the SOAR charges bylaw. Moved. Second by Councillor Lesser. Any discussion there? Hearing none, all in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Recommended motion that the town of Yarmouth indicate its intent to opt out of the contractual agreement with Circular Materials to coordinate education and curbside collection for packaging and paper blue bags as part of the Extended Producer Responsibility ERP program. Second it. Second by Councillor Dares. Go ahead.
So I'm going to admit right up front that I've read that about 4 times and I'm confused. And being on the Waste Check Committee and the Solid Waste Committee, I'm totally familiar with the EPR requirements. I kind of read this, we want to opt out of the program, but then when I read your information, it sounded like you were praising Circular Materials for doing a good job. So I don't know whether are we telling them they do a good job or opting out? I mean,
Well, they haven't done anything yet. So they are the industry association. So the EPR stands for Extended Producer Responsibility. The government passed legislation that requires industry that produces packaging, paper, to pay for its full life cycle. Put it out into the stores and make sure it gets collected and recycled after it's been used. And so in the past, before that legislation, municipalities were responsible for setting up recycling programs. So we've done that for, 25 years or so in this community. We've set a blue bag program, and then we have a 2 blue bag program, and we contract a hauler, but we do the education through Waste Check. We contract a hauler, they bring it to the transfer station. It gets trucked to a processing facility that we pay a processor to sort out and bale it and sell it in the world market. Well, now with EPR, all of that is industry's responsibility. So industry, the big producers, create an industry association, Circular Materials. Now, Circular is now responsible for education, curbside collection, processing, and marketing of those products. Well, their first move, their first instinct is to come to the people who've been doing it for decades and say, would you like to continue to do it? And we'll pay you your costs. So we'll pay Waste Check some money for education. We'll pay you so much per stop for curbside collection. And then they're going to contract a processor like Scotia Recycling to sort it all out, bale it and sell it. So if we're just recovering our costs, which is what their offer is, it doesn't make sense to me to put ourselves in between Circular Materials, who is the payer, and let's say hauler XYZ, who is doing the curbside collection. If we put ourselves in the middle, then we're playing this liaison role between the payer and the contractor. And any complaints from either side, right, come through us, and we're kind of accountable. We've been in that position with the current situation where Scotia Recycling has said these blue bags that are arriving, the paper bags have too many, there's containers in there, and the containers bag, well, there's too much paper in there. And well, then we contract the hauler. So we call the hauler and say, you gotta reject the bags at the curb. People that aren't sorting properly. Well, we don't have time. We got to get this to the transfer station. And so we talk to Waste Check and say, can you up the education? So we're kind of just in the middle. We're not doing any of the work. So why would we handle the money and pass checks back and forth? So the recommendation is, let Circular Materials do it. And you're not going to see trucks running around town with Circular Materials on the side. You're going to see probably the same trucks that you've seen for decades running around town, one company or another, picking up blue bags. A change you may see is that they may decide that just like clear bags and just like organics, recyclables only need to be picked up once every 2 weeks. They don't need to be picked up every week. I think, if I was to guess, the reason we did that was so that there was work for the hauler every week, and there was a steady stream of recyclables going to the original processor that used to be on Water Street. It was a very manual process, and so having 2 weeks worth of recyclables arriving suddenly might have been more disruptive than having them come a bit every week. So that's a guess. I wasn't around at the time. So you might see a change. People will see a change in the blue bag collection. I can almost guarantee that in terms of the schedule. But if you move from Albert Street to to Elm Street, you're going to see a difference in your schedule because everything is not collected the same day, right? So there will be some change, but Circular Materials will probably work with WasteCheck to do the education piece, or they'll work with some other communications firm to do the education piece. So all I'm saying is, please, let's not get in the middle of it. So where's the silver lining on this? Is that we're no longer paying for curbside collection once this comes in. So that's a savings. We're no longer paying for processing of the blue bags at Scotia Recycling. That's a savings. And those savings we'll calculate, and when we get into the operational budget, you'll see that that can come directly off of the solid waste charge that we charge to residential customers.
Thank you. Councillor Bell?
Thank you. So where are we with the existing contract that we have now?
Okay, so our contract is up. It ran out December 31st, and we got an extension with our hauler, and we are currently out to tender with a hauler contract. And we have built into the language in the contract that EPR is a thing, and that we may opt out of the contract with our hauler for blue bag collection when the time comes. And so we don't have a firm date on that. It's supposed to be December 31st this year, or December 1st this year.
Yeah.
They're not sure that's actually going to be the case, but when they're ready,
Okay.
and maybe we insist that's the date, because at that date, we're no longer financially responsible. Whatever the case may be, we have a contract or we've put out a tender that gives us that flexibility to just go to the two streams, the organics and the clear bags.
And the contract that you're negotiating now is for all three streams?
The contract we put out to tender is for all three streams.
Okay.
With
And so whatever you're able to negotiate with the existing contract, compost and waste will still be, that will go forward?
It's not a negotiation, it's a tender,
Okay.
right? So,
Yeah.
so whatever we get back, whatever we
Yeah.
get from the market,
Yeah.
we'll continue that for
Okay.
5 years, but the blue bag portion will end at a specific date, and that will no longer be our cost.
Okay, good, gotcha, thank you.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. 10A, correspondence from the Lions Club. For those who looked into that, it's just thanking us for our contribution for kicking in on a defibrillator for their facility. So it's nice that we could help them out a little bit for all they do for the community. I think that's just more for information than anything. And 11A, recommended motion that council grant $500 for a thank you gift for Linda and Lori Sigurdsson. Moved. Second it. Any discussion there? Councilor Dares?
Only that I've got like the greatest respect for both of these women, and acknowledging the extensive work that they've done on behalf of the town and the municipalities in their role at the Mariner Center as chair and vice chair. They guided that facility through some pretty difficult times, and especially in the last few months. Having said that, is there a precedent for this, or are we setting a precedent? And that's my only concern. There's a lot of other people in the community that give a lot of their time and effort, and I'm just wondering if we're setting ourselves up for something here.
Sorry? I don't believe there's a precedent, and it is not a policy. So this is a recommendation that's coming from Mariner Center, and the same recommendation is going to all three councils. It's come from Mariner Center, though.
I asked the same, I asked the same thing, because we don't want to, we don't want to set a precedent, and we certainly don't want to say that one volunteer is elevated above, and that wasn't the intention. We could certainly ask I remember, but I just I can't recall off the top of my head, but it made, you remember, Jeff? I can't.
Sorry?
I can't recall the reasoning, but it was, part of it was that extra load that they had to carry because of everything that was going on, was like a full-time job. It was way past volunteer. So how do you, and yeah, and within, actually, we've been within Mariner Center's purview to do that as well. I know that doesn't help, but.
I mean, as CAO, I have a bit of a view on it. But I'll tell you, I'll be the first to say not a complete view of the amount of work that they put into Mariner Center, improving the governance. We have a new intermunicipal agreement, and they've shepherded that in, along with many governance improvements. You know, it would be hard to describe. I don't know that I've ever seen a volunteer on any board or committee since I've been here who's put in more work than they did as volunteers, and did so freely and without expectation of anything but a thank you. And recently they got anything but a thank you.
Well said.
For the record, sorry. For the record, this was discussed for the last couple months. It's not in response to what happened. It was being talked about, and it just landed on our laps now, so.
Well, please don't misunderstand, because I hardly think $500 comes close to what they deserve. And my only concern was the precedent.
Any other discussion? Hear none. All in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Was there any more additions? Do we have? Mayor Move? What was the addition?
Okay, so the.
Mike?
Microphone.
Rookie.
My mic's always on.
First day.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so we're just going through, the new legislation that's been coming out. And with regard especially, I mean, for all of them, but with regard to Bill 24 around the transportation, we've been having a lot of conversations around that at NSFM. And there might have been a misunderstanding. We had a meeting of the board yesterday and the executive, and then we had all the mayors and ward and CAOs last night. And Belle, were you on that last night? Were you able to hop on? Because you were on earlier anyway, so you got the full deal. But the folks on the call, I think, were thinking about what was detailed in the legislation versus the fact that NSFM is saying we simply need to be at the table before decisions on legislation are completely done and you know, in the legislature. We need to be at the table so that we can help inform the province on what's important to municipalities, what may work, what might not work, what the response may be, how we can tweak things. So this is all about being at the table, and then someone on that call, a CAO, took it upon themselves to say this is what this motion might look like. And it was the membership that simply said, you know, we can send a letter to NSFM that says we support you being at the table. So that's basically what it is. So it's be it resolved that the town of Yarmouth supports the work of NSFM in advocating for Nova Scotia municipalities to be at the table with provincial legislative and policymakers when legislation that affects municipalities is being contemplated, and that the mayor has autonomy to sign a letter expressing support of the NSFM in representing the needs of municipalities that support municipal autonomy, strong decision-making, and municipal engagement. So it's all the things we want to happen. We're just saying to the province, and I had that conversation with the ministers today, two of them. We just need to be at the table so that we can help inform stuff, I guess. So, I probably could, actually. So I know, and in a nutshell, it's just saying to the province, you know, there's a lot of legislation coming down. I think you've all spent time reading it and going over it. That's been a little bit scary for a lot of municipalities. What the membership is saying is, this motion says we support NSFM being at the table so that municipal voices are heard before legislation comes to the legislature. Is that even better?
Basically, before they start digging Lake
Yeah.
Good. Motion seconded. Any other discussion on that point? Hearing none. All in favor, do so by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded. Motion carried.
Can I add another, can I add something? I can't add anything else. Huh?
It's up to the chair.
Wow.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, may I ask, I'm sorry, with council's permission, we have, I apologize, it's been a little bit busy, but March Teen Takeover, March the 7th, is canceled. It's next Friday, so if you can't make it, I fully understand. Did I send you an email? Probably not.
Just a text.
I know you knew because I always text you about everything. Anyway, I just want to put that on your radar. I'll send you an email, maybe next Thursday night. I remember. So I just want that on your radar. I think I'll tell you what, we're making fajitas. Yeah. So we're checking, we can make both. Yes. So we're just going to make some, the food for the kids, serve it to them, kind of hang out. And the other thing is, I would have forgotten this. Steve and I have committed, and everybody here is welcome because we said council would do it. They always do activities and learning pieces, and it's really cool what they're doing with those kids on Friday nights. So they wanted me to come in and do a leadership thing for them because that's what I've done in my other life. But I said, how about if council came in, you can have the mayor, the deputy mayor will be there, any council members that can make it, and we'll tell you some fun stuff, we'll have some prizes, and then you can ask us as many questions as you want. And Steve and I said, you know, we'll make it fun for them, right? Not like a dry, we'll make it fun for them. Right? So, well, it can be pretty dry learning about municipal politics, but I think a lot of these kids think it's pretty cool. And when you see people in person, you can talk to them, it puts a bug in them. And it's like, you know what, maybe we can sit at the table. So I'll send that email out. And the only other thing is I'm going to send you an email as well. Dalhousie University has reached out, and on April the 2nd, they are coming into the community to engage with various groups around various issues. I'm sending to the REN, they'll work with NSCC, the Chamber of Commerce. They've got some information for municipal learning through them that we could sit at and invite, you know, the other units. And then they are doing a round table. They were going to do one round table, and we talked them into 3 round tables. One will be, this came out of some conversation that we've been having recently. One will be based on the fishery and where we are and where it's going and those types of things, because I think there's a little bit of worry among the fishermen. We've been talking about that, so if Dal can come in and help us round, so we'll send out the invitations to the people. I'll be sending you an email to see if there's anybody else you think should be at the table. Another one is around the nonprofits and what do they do, and how how can they come together basically to better serve the community? And there's a business one. We just have to figure out how do we want that to be formed for business? And what questions do we want to ask? Like that's what are you thinking there, Jeffrey?
Ren might help with that.
What's that?
The Ren might be helpful.
Yes, they're definitely working with the rent. Yeah, and they will be at that table. So yeah, and it'll be stakeholders at all the tables. So I'll send that out. Yeah. Thanks for letting me do that, Mr. Chair.
Just prolonging my time, that's all. I would like to say on Saturday night, the mayor and I attended the African Heritage Month celebration in Greenville. They were very grateful for our support, and it was very well attended, a great night, good food, and a good time. So thank you once again to council for always supporting those things during that month, and well, all around actually during the year, but it was a good time. So thank you.
Yep.
Anything in camera?
One item? Okay.
Motion to go in camera, please.
Yep.
All right.